Now, when you make videos on the internet, people have a tendency to say some quite mean things. And for me, a lot of the comments tend to revolve around one thing: my height. Now, I'm not actually a short person, I don't think. I think I'm average height. But because I like to sit in a car nice and low and have the steering wheel quite high, people say that I'm short. Now, as a result of that, my esteemed Goodwood colleague said there was one car I had to test. And it's this, the Bugatti Baby II.
The Baby II was created to commemorate Bugatti's 110th birthday, an exact 75% scale recreation of the 1932 Lyon GP winning Type 35. As the 2 in the name suggests, this isn't an entirely new idea. In the 1920s, Ettore Bugatti and his son Jean built the Baby I, a 50% scale Type 35 for Ettore's other son, Roland. Many of Bugatti's customers saw the Bugatti Baby and, naturally, wanted one for their own children. And so a proper production run began. From 1927 to 1936, 500 Baby Bugattis were built. Like the original, there will be 500 Baby IIs, with prices ranging from €30,000 to €58,500.
Now, there are 3 models. There's the base, the Vitesse and the Pur Sang. Now, with the base car, you get a 1.4 kilowatt-hour battery and you get a composite body. With the Vitesse and the Pur Sang, you get a 2.8 kilowatt-hour battery, and with the Vitesse, you get a carbon fibre body, and the Pur Sang an aluminium body. And that aluminium body takes 200 hours to make by hand. There are actual full-size cars that take less time to make than that.
Expensive the Baby II might be, but an awful lot of work has gone into making this much more than a gimmicky toy. In order to make the car as accurate as possible, the original Type 35, on which the Baby II is based, was 3D scanned in its entirety. After that, what could be replicated exactly was, and what needed a modern twist was done so to modern Bugatti standards. The Bugatti badge is an exact 75% scale Chiron badge, made using solid silver. The pedals, similarly, are scaled Chiron pedals. The billet aluminium fuel cap, made redundant by the electric powertrain, is now the charging cap. The dashboard is made from aluminium with the same pattern as the dash of the Veyron. The fuel pump is now the drive selector, the petrol gauge the battery power reserve dial, and the fonts and needles within the dials are the same as those of the original Baby.
Now, with the base car, there are 2 modes. There's novice and there's expert. In novice, you get 1 kilowatt of power and a top speed of 12 miles an hour, which sounds exciting enough. Then with expert, you get 4 kilowatts of power and a top speed of 30 miles an hour. Now, that's getting pretty tasty. But with the Pur Sang and the Vitesse, there's an extra mode. You get a speed key, like you do in the Veyron and the Chiron, which means the top speed goes up from 30 to 42 miles an hour, and rather than 4 kilowatts, you get 10 kilowatts of power. Now, that sounds actually quite fast. I think we should try that out. So then, how does it feel? Well, to be quite honest with you, it is more like a car than I ever expected. The dampers, adjustable, the suspension, leaf springs, and all of it's been tuned by Bugatti's chief test driver and 2-time Le Mans winner, don't forget, Andy Wallace. So actually, I'm driving on a very bumpy surface, as you can probably tell, but actually, it's incredibly comfortable. What's more, it tracks very straight, very true. I'm not getting bounced around all over the place, and it's got quite a lot of grip. Go through a corner with a bit of lock on, a bit of speed, you're not getting deflected all over the place. And when the grip does run out, and they're quite skinny Michelin tyres, so occasionally the grip does run out, it's not scary in the slightest, it's not intimidating in the slightest. You don't think, oh goodness, I've got some understeer. I've got a bit of oversteer. I'm panicking now. It's very easy to drive. That's the trouble with this. If you own a Bugatti, a real Bugatti, and you buy one of these, you'll probably live somewhere warm. Right now, somewhere near Oxford, Bicester actually, which is where the DB5 is going to be built that they also make. It's very cold. 0 degrees.
As cold as it was that day, I came away from my time in this dinky Bugatti completely surprised. While you might not be able to drive the Baby II on the road, or at least not without jumping through many hoops, the brakes, the steering, the suspension, it all works far too well for it to be considered merely a toy. The Baby II is not a toy car scaled up, but a real car scaled down.